Welcome to Simple Spoken English. This is VJ and Asta's emotional story, episode 16 to 20. Today, we continue the heartwarming and emotional story titled Her Last Wish. In these chapters, we will see how VJ, despite all odds, works to fulfill Asta's final 7 wishes. It's a story filled with love, determination, and the beauty of selflessness. As we dive into their journey, you'll also have the chance to learn English through meaningful dialogues and everyday phrases. Each moment of this story not only touches your heart, but also enhances your English learning experience. So, sit back and enjoy as we unfold this touching tale. Let's get started. Asta, one day your photo will be on the cover page of this magazine. I promised her in my heart. Most of the cover pages featured common men, projecting their rare quality. A debut author along with his book, a few struggling models, a young successful entrepreneur, some leading brands, creative artists, a famous philanthropist, a restaurant owner, leading advocates, and so on. Some issues of the magazine had pictures of sexy ladies teaching you 5 methods to make wine at home. Yet another story featured a housewife teaching one to make rotis that remain soft for 3 days. A couple's picture, clicked in complete darkness, featured an article on the importance of sex in married life. My eyes were locked to the next article. AIDS cannot kill love. Each time I picked up an issue, my confidence only heightened. I was now sure that only Sudha Auntie could help me fulfill at least one of Asta's wishes. After an hour of waiting, I was called inside Sudha Auntie's cabin. The famous Mona Lisa painting hung on one of the walls, of course a copy. The second wall was adorned with antique showpieces of a black lady, a few photos with famous celebrities like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Shah Rukh Khan, and Salman Khan. The third wall was covered with awards and recognition received in appreciation by Hype Dust. It was a room with massive hoo-ha, a show-off of prosperity and money being her slaves. Welcome, VJ. Long time no see. Hi, Auntie. How are you doing? How is Sushma? Mom is fine, Auntie. She is still in South Africa for the Football World Cup coverage. Call me Sudha, please. Do I look old enough for you to call me Auntie? I guessed that she was infected with the rare psychological disorder of not being able to accept the truth of aging. I smiled. How is Asta? Well, I must say, you have a gorgeous wife, she said playfully. I considered it wise to get straight to the point before she said anything related to my sex life. Sudhaji, I need a favor. Please feel free to ask for anything. I'd love to help you. One of my close female friends wishes to be featured on the cover page of your magazine. So you want Hype Dust to feature a story about her? Exactly, I said, nodding my head. Tell me more about this friend of yours. What does she do? Is she a model or a director? She is a common lady. Okay, let me guess. An ordinary lady who wants to publicize herself to boost her business or modeling career? I was amazed by her guess. Kind of. She is a budding writer, I lied. 5 lakhs, she said, as if she was carrying a menu card. You charge for it? I said, aghast. She nodded, and I continued. So, all those stories about businessmen and common man becoming uncommon were paid stories? Don't think of it as paid. It is PR, After all, it helps boosting their business. She triggered another storm in my mind. How many books has she written? Asked Suda Auntie. She is working on her first book. I lied again. The charge for debutantes is 8 lakhs. What? Had Asta been there, I am sure she would have said, "Fish you," on Suda Auntie's face. I had a similar urge while she continued. Featuring a debutante is always risky. Had anyone other than you approached me, I wouldn't even have considered their offer. But I don't want to disappoint my friend's son. Her generosity was too much to digest. Firstly, she made me wait for more than an hour and later offered a discount of millions. So, Suda, I removed the G from her name because she had lost it right in front of me. All these writers whose photos have been featured on the cover page paid you to get there? Yes. Not just us, almost every other magazine has this arrangement. A minimum of 10 lakh rupees is charged for a cover photo and 4-page story. You must be aware that we have a circulation of close to 1 million copies in the city. My friend is not that rich. To tell you the truth, I had come here with a request. She has been diagnosed with HIV and always wished to be featured on the cover page of a magazine. Oh, that's great! Her rising excitement at someone's plight bewildered me. Excuse me? We can surely publish her story. Really? I was confused. Yes, we would feature a cover page story on her along with the tagline, "Hate the sin, not the sinner." What is the relevance of that? We'll write a story wherein we will project that your friend was sleeping around with some men, or male prostitutes for that matter, and had unprotected sex because of which she got infected. Now her last wish of seeing herself on the cover page of a magazine will be fulfilled. Hype dust will help her. I'll publish my photo with her. But that is not true, I said, irritated with her remarks. There are other mediums that can infect one with HIV, such as an infected syringe, infected blood transfusion, breastfeeding, drug addiction from a common syringe, shaving with the same blade, any small cut from an infected knife or blade. I could go on, but she cut me short. But all these reasons cannot cook a story. It won't sell. But this is the matter of someone's life. But for me, it is business. Thank you. I could not waste any more of my precious time. But I guess she didn't get the implication of my thank you. Listen, VJ, she said. This story can do wonders. I can get my magazine sponsored by a condom manufacturer. My proposal is totally free. Think over it again. Her enthusiastically popping eyes were reflecting greed in its purest form. Thank you for your time. Let me tell you something, Ms. Suda. You magazine's name is perfect. Oh, thanks. I created it. I sighed. It is only hype and dust. Episode 16, we were sitting outside Dr. Raza's cabin waiting for our turn. Yes, I had got Asta with me this time. After all, she was the patient. VJ, Dr. Raza is a very senior doctor. What's his consultancy fee? Asta inquired with concern. Only a lower middle-class person can think about money while in the hospital rather than the disease. 900. That is pretty expensive, she exclaimed, and waited for my nod, and I had to oblige as a duty of a husband. Why are we wasting our precious money here? I am totally fine, she added. Let the doctor say the same thing, and I will be convinced. Also, I am planning to appoint a full-time caretaker for you at home. It was really difficult to convince Asta for any kind of expenditure. It is not that she was a very unwell patient, but she couldn't be blamed. The symptoms of this disease were rarely visible. I only have a common cold and... Her sentence was cut short as her name was called out. Dr. Raza didn't seem to be in a hurry. We were not the last patient either. Before he said anything, I probed him. "Sir, this is VJ. I hope you remember me. And this is my wife," I said, pointing at Asta. "As per your instruction after seeing her report, I have apprised her that her liver has been infected." Asta gave me a weird look. "Of course. How can I forget you?" "I do remember everything," replied Dr. Raza. I heaved a sigh of relief. "Doctor, I am totally fine. My husband is unnecessarily worrying about me." "Asta, your husband is not worrying unnecessarily. It is good that there are no complications with your infection currently. You have been diagnosed well in time, but it will only get worse if you don't take care of yourself. Now tell me, do you feel drowsy, itchy, have a common cold, pain in the part of the abdomen near the liver?" "Yes, doctor. Since the last few weeks I have been feeling very drowsy and have been experiencing mild pain in the lower abdomen. But I guess this was because of the medicine." He threw a glance at me and said, "I guess so." Episode 17. I passed him a smile and added, "She has cold since the past 25 days. She nodded in confirmation. "What about the last couple of days?" asked Dr. Raza. "I have a metallic taste in my mouth. I often feel like puking." This indicates that the medicines I prescribed have been effective. Saying this, Dr. Raza mumbled the names of some medicines. Doctors and astrologers always throw difficult words at people. "Asta," he continued, "I require you to get a full-body test conducted so that I can gauge the seriousness of the infection." He started writing something, which was Hebrew to us. I guessed it included a complete blood profile test involving thyroid, metabolic, pregnancy, H++, hemoglobin, ultrasound, TLC, CD3 and CD4 cell count, urine culture, CT scan, X-ray, kidney tests, among others. If money is a constraint, then CT scan and ultrasound can be skipped at the moment, but everything else is mandatory. It is Friday today. Please get all these tests done and visit me with the reports on Monday. Doctor, VJ is too concerned. Please tell him that this is not required at all. We will discuss that after we have the reports in hand, Dr. Raza said. Okay, thanks. VJ, you'll have to monitor her diet. No processed food, no wheat flour, rice, pasta, potatoes, tomatoes, beans, maize, legumes, eggplant, or dairy products. Instead, give her lots of protein, veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds. You have to treat her like a child. Why a child? Asta asked. We decide everything for a child, from the food he eats to his sleeping timings. Everything needs to be monitored closely. The same goes for you. A careless attitude can change your fate. Until then, enjoy your time. She watched the doctor aghast. VJ, how is your UTI infection? Kindly avoid sex for a few months as it could affect her liver. Dr. Raza lied and smiled. You can use a condom, though. These words from the doctor's mouth were enough to scare the hell out of Asta. The same night, I was sitting in our bedroom reading our college magazine, The Spark. It was ironical that no spark was left in me. I didn't have the money to fulfill her wishes. I didn't have money to celebrate her birthday. I didn't even know whether she would be alive till then or not. The expense of the treatment was the only prime thing on my mind for now. However, I was adamant on meeting Daniel. "What are you doing, VJ?" Asta interrupted my chain of thoughts. "What happened? You have been holding your college magazine for the last 15 minutes, but I am sure you are not reading it." "Oh, is it? Well, I was thinking." I faked a smile. "No wonder. These days you think a lot." "You know, Asta, in the past, I had appeared many times for the IAS exams. Most of the time I would not even check the result. But I would still appear the next time because Papa would push me to do so. He had his own motives to do that." Asta realized the pain in my voice. She came close to me and kissed me. "I know that, sweetheart. But why are you thinking about it all of a sudden?" "Every time I failed to clear my exam, I would be disappointed. I would cry. Each time, Mom would walk up to me and apologize on Papa's behalf. She would say that Papa loved me a lot and wished to accomplish his own dream via his son's accomplishments. Mom had realized that it was impossible for me to clear the IAS exam. She sure did. I feel that she was more sensitive towards my feelings than Papa." "Really?" she said sarcastically. "You'll realize it someday," I said with conviction and faith. "I don't think so," Asta said pretty insensitively. "But why on earth are you thinking about all this?" "Sweetheart, I am wondering whether it is ethically or morally correct for a wife to seek an apology on behalf of her husband." She thought about it for a second and said, "It is not about husband and wife. It is about the love they share." I realized that it was dangerous to ask for advice from an extrovert, but I took a chance. "Please explain." "Anyone who loves the other person can seek an apology on his or her behalf. For example, you love me, and so you can seek an apology on my behalf." She had managed to hit the bull right in the eye. That was exactly what I had wanted to hear. I gave her my stereotypical smile. "Why are you laughing now?" There it was. The same question again. But by now I had excelled the art of ignoring this question by asking a counter-question. What if a person doesn't forgive the other person? Winners always forgive, whereas losers always retaliate. The person who apologizes in turn passes on all of his burden on the other person's head. The one who understands this always forgives, whereas the ones who seek further revenge only burn themselves daily by having to bear all the burden. And according to that logic, my husband is a winner. Oh, okay. I showed her a thumbs up as a sign of my appreciation and asked, "How am I a winner?" "Because you have forgiven your father." Episode 17, I reached the address Daniel had given me. I found 2 cars in the parking lot, a Maruti, which his father would have used, and a diesel I-20, which I assumed was my wife's ex-boyfriend's. I rang the doorbell. A tall, smart, handsome young man, who bore a mature look on his face, wearing frameless spectacles, shorts, and a T-shirt with "I Love USA" embossed on it, welcomed me. All the confidence which I could never have screamed from every part of him. I wondered whether he was the same person whom I had come to meet. My doubt vanished when I heard a heavy American accent. "Hi, I am Daniel." "Hi, Daniel, I am VJ." I was feeling awkward. The usual question popped up in my head yet again. How did Asta end up marrying me? "Hi, VJ. Please come inside and have a seat." He was clearly a very sophisticated and well-mannered person. "Feel at home," he said. "What would you like to have? Tea, coffee, or juice?" "Whatever is convenient for you," I said. He went inside. His house wasn't big, but at the same time it seemed to be owned by a wealthy person. The sofa was new, and the living room was tastefully done. There were pictures of Jesus and a golden cross indicating Daniel's strong faith. Daniel was back at his seat in a minute's time. "Yes, VJ, you told me you wanted to discuss something personal. But before that, may I ask how Sargam is? It has been a long time since I last spoke to her." "She is doing well," I said. I was wondering how to initiate a conversation about Asta. "Are you married, Daniel?" I had no idea why I asked this question. "Not yet," he replied. Meanwhile, 2 glasses of juice along with cookies were served by the maid. I decided to open up fast, else the investment banker would lose interest in me. I began narrating a story which I had made up. "Daniel, I made a terrible mistake. Last week I met with an accident. In order to save a kid on the road, I drove over a pedestrian in front of a church and the person got hurt. No one noticed since it was very late at night. However, I was not completely responsible for the accident, so I didn't fear anyone and called up an ambulance to attend to the patient. I also visited the hospital in which he was admitted. One of his legs had broken and may take about 6 months to heal, although I am not sure whether he will be as fit as before. He was as sharp-minded as I had expected him to be and said exactly what I was hoping for. How can I help you in this? Sargam had apprised me that your family has a strong belief in the Bible. The guy who was hurt is a Christian." For the first time, I looked right into his eyes and said, "I want to apologize for the accident. Could you, by any chance, find me a lesson from the Bible so that I can seek an apology from that person with a legitimate reason?" My dull face was in complete sync with my narration. "Well, in that case, it is my father who you should speak to," he said while sipping the juice. "Let me call him here." "Oh, no. I'll be awkward talking to him. I am sure, being a religious person, you would definitely be able to help me. I have less knowledge of what you are asking of me and am not a religious person at all. However, I know that the basis of Christianity is forgiveness. The people who had killed Jesus were forgiven by Jesus. Even when we go to church, people confess to the priest. I suggest that you visit a church and confess your guilt. Also, it would be better if you could compensate the hurt person with some money or anything you deem fit. That should be enough." "But what if he retaliates?" "VJ, it is the losers who retaliate. Winners always forgive. I am sure he will forgive you." I was surprised how he had shared the same philosophy as Asta. "But," Daniel said, looking at me doubtfully, "I can sense that you are hiding something from me." "Yes, Daniel, you are right. In our Hindu religion, husband and wife are considered to be partial owners of each other. Just like assets belong to both, so do responsibilities. You seem mysterious. What is the point, VJ? I took a deep breath and said, "Do you remember Asta?" "I know that opportunist very well." I was puzzled. Opportunist? Yes, she was my girlfriend until a few months back. Then she got married to a professor. But why on earth did you mention her name? Please allow me to complete what I have to say. Daniel, Asta approved of marrying a professor under family pressure. Given that you belong to a different religion, it was difficult for her to convince her parents. I cannot believe that, Daniel seethed in anger. Asta would never listen to her family. Anyway, if that is the case, she could have waited for me to return to India or spoken to me. For all her mistakes, she has been feeling sorry. I doubt it. She leapt on the opportunity of marrying a rich guy. She is an emotionless girl who has never loved anyone. Daniel was seething with anger. How do you know that her husband is a rich man? He has to be. I know Asta very well. I have heard that her father-in-law was a senior police officer and her mother-in-law is a journalist. In that case, you don't know them. But why are you talking about her? Do you think I am a rich man? Who are you? He asked, raising his voice. I sighed. I am Asta's husband. He looked at me dumbstruck. His jaw fell. His trance broke after a few seconds of silence. How dare she send you here? He said, his voice still raised. You have come here to mock me, isn't it? No, Daniel. I am here to tell you that my wife is sorry for her mistake of not fighting for you both. In short, she is sorry for running away from the situation. And why should I believe you? Because that is the only reason for which I am here. Had she been really apologetic, she would have been standing here in front of me. I went silent as I did not want to reveal her illness. Why is she not here? He almost shouted while I still remained silent. VJ, he continued, the day she dumped me was the day I vowed to meet her and prove that she had committed a huge mistake. I have 15 POs reporting to me at the bank. I have an apartment in Gurgaon. Very soon I'll be marrying an IAS officer's daughter. Asta is a fiasco to have dumped me for you. I chose to remain silent instead of picking up an argument with him because he had all the right to say all this. Daniel, she really is apologetic for what happened. Then why is she not here? He repeated. Because she is unwell. Mr. Professor, let me admit that you are amazing at cooking up stories, but I am not your student. Please leave now. I stood up, but I wanted to make one final point. Daniel, I said, we cannot change the past. Currently, there is no way in which you can soothe your anger. Jesus had forgiven even those who led him to death. I hope you try to understand her and forgive her. I am not interested in talking to you or her, the bloody loser. He was in a rage. I was standing at his doorstep ready to bear his frustration. Get lost, please, he shouted loudly. As I stepped out of his house, I said, Don't call her a loser, Daniel. He pushed me mildly. I moved out of the house and he shut the door behind me. I said, A loser always retaliates. It rains once in a blue moon in Delhi. Today, it was raining. I love the weather when it rains. And today, I too contributed to the rains. The best thing about crying in the rains is that no one can notice your tears. I felt defeated in idiotically chasing nothing. Why am I doing all this? I am so dumb. I should be dead like I have been for all these years. I cursed myself. The pain I felt was not because of Daniel's words, but because of my continuous failure. I stood under a tree while tears continued to flow from my eyes. I looked up at the sky and murmured, "What did I do wrong? Why is my wife going through all this?" I pulled out that paper of her wishes from my pocket and threw it away. This is all rubbish. This is all nonsense. Henceforth, I won't try to fulfill any of it. In short, I had given up, and it wasn't the first time. My cell phone rang. Though I was not in a mood to answer any calls, I answered when it rang again. "Hi, VJ. This is Dr. Raza." I was not in a state to hear anything from the doctor, but I still had to, for the sake of my wife. I answered in a half-dead state. "Hi, sir. VJ, please ask Asta to stop all medication with immediate effect. All her test reports have been delivered to me. Pay me a visit tomorrow and please come alone." Is there anything serious? Chapter 18. Nothing to worry, VJ. I am just unsure whether this is good news or not. Your wife is pregnant. I hung up without any formal greetings. I went numb. I was in a state of shock. It was one of the weirdest moments of my life. A doctor had called up to inform me that I was soon to be a father, and he didn't even congratulate me. I didn't know how to react. Should I be happy or sad? I was completely blank. Everything around me was moving while I was standing still. Just one question loomed over me. What if the baby gets infected with HIV? I looked at the crumpled piece of paper that I had thrown. I picked it up, unfolded it, and read it to myself. I smiled while tears were still trickling down my cheeks. The smile was for an obvious reason. One of the wishes of my wife was about to be fulfilled. My score was 1/7. "Doctor, I don't want this baby." I had two reasons for taking this decision. Soon after being born, the child would be motherless for the rest of its life. Or it could be infected with HIV too. I can understand. I knew that it was not an everyday situation for him, so I chose to explain it to him. I just don't want my baby to come into this world with a terminal disease and in turn suffer his or her entire life. VJ, I can understand your concern, but Asta's pregnancy report says that she has been pregnant for more than 3 months. We cannot do an abortion now. If we do, we'll only end up risking Asta's life because Asta's CD4 count is less than 400, and it will only reduce with time. Doctor, what are the chances of the baby being infected from the mother? Honestly, there is a 50% chance. I went numb again. The doctor continued. A few cases have been observed wherein patients have delivered a healthy child. His words clearly indicated that he hadn't handled such a case before. Doctor, I don't want to have this baby. Should I consult a gynecologist? I do not have the strength to see another one of my own die in front of me. Why are you only thinking negatively, VJ? There is also a 50% chance that the baby is totally healthy. What about the remaining 50%, doctor? It is okay for a doctor to look at the positive, but impossible for a would-be father to even dream. I agree with you, he said with modesty. I suggest that you consult a gynecologist too. Do you know anyone who has handled a similar case before and who will be ready to help me? Yes, I know one. By the way, I have already discussed Asta's reports with her. If you want, you can also consult Dr. Rachna. So, in her previous case, was the delivery successful? I had to be sure. No, that was not a successful birth. The child had died, but she is a good doctor. I began thinking. Dr. Rachna will keep the secret, you don't worry. Dr. Raza's words broke me free of my trance. Which one? She will not tell Asta about the disease. I had forgotten any such thing. How are you so sure that she would help me? I asked. He heaved a deep sigh and said, because she is my wife. Why did Asta keep the news of her pregnancy hidden from me? Was she not aware? But how can a lady be unaware of her own pregnancy? Is this baby even mine? It seemed like a movie with an invisible villain. I wished for it to be a 3-hour movie where everything would be back to normal after stepping out of the theater. However, my biggest worry was the climax of this movie. One problem had not even ended, and the second one had cropped up. Whenever I am confused, there is one door I knock on. I headed towards Noida. Papa, I have some news for you. What is it, good or bad? Whenever someone asks this question, be sure that they are ready for the worst. I am not sure. I haven't classified it as yet. Okay, tell me. I am up for anything. Papa, Asta is pregnant. Oh! I was unsure whether his exclamation was with happiness or shock. Why do you say that Asta is pregnant? It is not just her who is going to have the baby. You are going to be a father, too. I followed this with a detailed description of with Dr. Raza. Are you happy, Papa? I said, while ignoring his remark. I was not mature enough to digest the fact that he hadn't congratulated me yet. No, I am not happy. And I do have a doubt, he said. He looked at me with love and said, don't get me wrong, but are you sure this baby is yours? Given that she is an HIV patient and you have been traveling much in the past, what if it turns out that you don't know her completely? The same doubt had culminated in my mind a few minutes back, but I couldn't accept anyone doubting my darling's character. I sighed and said, Papa, Asta has been pregnant for about 3 months, and it has been 6 months since we got married. He looked at me aghast. I said with tears in my eyes, even if by any chance what you are saying is true, it is a child growing in my wife's womb. That is enough for me to call it my own. Papa hugged me as silence prevailed in the room. Both of us needed this hug. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone after all. I sensed that he was on the verge of breaking down, too. We freed ourselves from the hug. I saw respect in his eyes after a really long time. VJ, it is high time that you inform Asta about her condition. She is in need of complete care now. She will anyway get to know the truth with the frequent visits to the doctor and while being treated. In fact, the more you delay informing her, it will only be dangerous for her. And now for the baby, too. Papa, I will be okay if it is revealed to her naturally. I want to avoid confronting her myself. What nonsense is this, VJ? I don't have the courage to tell her. I have already faced the worst and am sure I can face this too. My father was silent. He thought for a few seconds before saying, "You have gone through the worst." I purchased half a kilo of rasgullas from a nearby sweet shop and stood outside my house. The door was only a meter away from me, but I found it difficult to take those steps. I didn't want to tell her the good news with tears in my eyes. I pulled out my shades and wore them for quite a different reason. With a heavy heart, I rang the doorbell. "Why are you wearing shades?" she asked, concerned, as I walked into the house. "Something has gone into my eye and it is hurting." "Anyway, I have some good news for you," I said, beaming. "Really? Good news?" She didn't seem as excited and cheerful as she used to be on the prospect of hearing some good news. She didn't even notice the packet of sweets. "Here, take this," I said while handing over the packet of rasgullas to her. "I got your favorite sweet." She took the packet from me and headed straight to the kitchen. Should I tell her that she has been diagnosed with HIV? How will she react if I tell her the good news, which won't be good anymore once she is aware of her condition? I couldn't decide. After a few minutes, Asta stepped out of the kitchen and filled my mouth with one full rasgulla. "Hey, let me tell you the good news first. Remove these shades first." She removed the goggles from my eyes. "Asta, you are pregnant." "That's not fair. How did you get to know?" What a reaction. I had expected her to be excited, but this was the opposite. "Your reports were due today. Dr. Raza called me up and informed me of this great news." "My dear husband, I have known this for the last 30 days. I learnt of it when you were in Goa. I had planned to surprise you and was on the lookout for the right occasion." Saying this, she hugged me emotionally. She had tears in her eyes. I was about to cry too, but couldn't afford to be weak in her presence. However, I couldn't decode the reason for her tears. "I love you, my dear soon-to-be mom." I hugged her tighter and closer. "I always wanted to be a good mother. You cannot imagine how satiated I am." She sobbed and continued to bury herself in my arms while tears trickled down my face. I concluded I will not reveal the truth. Episode 19. My college vacation was now nearly over. My mom had returned from South Africa. She got the news of Asta's pregnancy, but she didn't care to call her. Asta had to visit the hospital every alternate day. The CD4 and CD3 tests were compulsory for her, twice a week. Meanwhile, the progress was good. Her condition was stable, and she did not show any signs of worry. She often vomited, felt weak, and I helped her as much as I could with the cooking, cleaning, laundry, and grocery shopping. Dr. Rachna helped us a lot, and no one was discriminating. I was glad that everyone was treating her like a normal human being. I had to hide all the medical prescriptions and reports, especially those that carried the name of the disease. She didn't ask for much. She was living peacefully at home. The kind of girl that she was, it was difficult to make her stay at home all the time. However, she made no request to join any part-time job, even though her main concern was the family expenses. Even after 2 weeks of regular treatment, there weren't any improvements in her CD4 count, and it was pretty low. It worried the doctor, and he recommended a strict diet along with vaccination, monitoring her blood pressure, and taking her blood sample on every alternate day. College was about to open in a week, and all these things were too complicated for Asta to handle alone. I discussed the matter with Dr. Raza, and he suggested appointing a full-time nurse for her. Asta was concerned about the expenses more than her health. She was taken aback by the doctor's recommendation, as we could not afford a full-time nurse. But my spirits were up. I was ready for the next challenge. This time, it was the nurse. I didn't want to run from one hospital to another and get disheartened. I asked Dr. Raza about some agency that could provide nurses at home. The next day, I was sitting inside the Caring Nurses Consultancy, the tagline of which said, "We care for you." It was just a small office, comprising a small cabin and an open waiting area. A man in his 40s was sitting inside. A few nurses in uniform were waiting at the reception. They might as well be looking for a job, I thought. The receptionist was busy talking on the phone, and it was only after a few minutes that I got her attention. "Sir, how may I help you? Do you deal with providing qualified nurses at home?" "Yes, we are pioneers in that service. We are the largest nursing consultancy here." She gave me a form to fill, which asked for a few necessary details, like the patient's name, gender, age, disease, consulting doctor, nature of the disease, contagious or not, and if it was a terminal disease. It also included questions like, does the patient have any mental illness? Will any other person be available at home? Can the patient handle his or her urine and stool? There was a small note at the bottom. P.S. All this information will be kept confidential. "Ma'am, before filling this form, I want to have a word with a senior person here. Sir, wait for a few minutes. Our counselor will address you." "Who is the counselor?" "He is Dr. James Francis." She pointed towards the man who was sitting behind the transparent wall inside the cabin. I was wondering if I should inform them about the disease. How will they react? I was called in after 10 minutes. Mr. James wore a white coat like a doctor. I failed to understand why he was dressed like a doctor. It was not a clinic, and there were no patients. "Hi, please be seated," he formally asked, pointing at the chairs placed before him. "Hi, I am VJ." "I am James." "Dr. James Francis," he answered as though he was James Bond. "Actually, I have come here for a part-time nurse for my wife. We are the largest in personal nursing in Delhi, NCR, and around 1,000 nurses are already on the job through our agency. All our nurses are well qualified and have a nursing degree certified by the Indian Nursing Council, INC. 20% have a doctoral degree in nursing," he said in one sentence like he had practiced it 1,000,000 times. "That's really great." I faked a smile. "We are very economical. You have come to the best place," he continued boasting, like he was the owner of the biggest outsourcing firm in the country. "Well, my patient is suffering from a terminal disease." He stopped blabbering, took a deep breath, and said, "Please do not worry. Our nurse will help the patient with stool and urinating, bathing to vaccination, and IV fluids as well. They treat patients like their own relatives." "No, I don't require such things. A nurse just needs to help her with her injections and daily routine activities. She has to monitor her blood pressure. There is nothing more that is required. She can walk to the washroom and perform the daily activities on her own." Great. I can arrange a couple of nurses you can interact with for the job right now. What is the name of the disease? It's HIV. AIDS, he said, shocked. He thought for a few seconds. It was difficult to believe he was the same person who was unstoppable a few minutes back. I sensed that he was not going to help me. Mr. VJ, I forgot to tell you that we don't manage patients with contagious diseases. HIV is not a contagious disease. It doesn't spread through touching, hugging, or even by kissing. VJ, I am sorry I cannot help you. We cannot put our nurses in danger. But there is no danger. I am myself staying with her, sleeping with her, and I am not HIV positive. It's not our concern who you or your wife sleep with, he said arrogantly. Hold your tongue! You cannot talk to me like this, I shouted. It was the first time I had shouted out so loud. After an hour, I was standing in front of the next nurse consultancy center. Its board read, Care Home. This place was situated in the district center of Jasola. Apollo Indraprastha Hospital was just a kilometer away. I went inside. It was bigger and more crowded than the previous one. I am looking for a qualified home nurse. I briefed the lady sitting at the reception. Sir, please be seated. We will call you. I was expecting some form would be given to me that needed to be filled, but this care center seemed a bit different. One silver board said, "We are not here for the money. We are a non-profit organization." There was a poster of Jesus next to it. I read the next one. Dear God, it is my misfortune that my income is related to people's pain and disease. But give me strength to fulfill my duty towards mankind. I was highly impressed. Sir, you can go now, said the receptionist. I entered the inner cabin. The nameplate said, Thomas Pereira, another Christian in a row after James. This industry was full of them, and I failed to understand why. Hi, Pereira, sir. I am VJ. Welcome, VJG. Please take a seat. Before you explain your requirement, let me tell you certain things. We are not here for money. That is really great. Our intention is solely to serve humanity. We are a non-profit organization and have qualified and certified nurses only. He sang the same song which I had heard a while ago. Somewhere deep, I felt it was going to be the same story all over again. Sir, I know yours is a very efficient organization. Please listen to my requirement first, I butted in, not wanting to waste any time. Oh, I am sorry. Feel free. We will keep all the information confidential, he said. I explained my requirements and informed him about the criticality of the disease without revealing the name, and added at the end that an economical one would be better. Don't worry about the charges. We will charge you the minimum. I told you we are not here for the money. Now, what was the name of the disease? Sir, my wife is suffering from HIV. HIV? You mean AIDS? There is a difference between HIV and AIDS, but yes, you can say that. He went silent for a minute. It was not an unexpected reaction to me. VJ, a few months back, one requirement came with the same concern. He interviewed a few nurses, but no nurse agreed to work for him. Sir, please understand. I need your help. Please try at your end. There is only one way. We will need to hide the illness from them. How is this possible? The nurses will ask for the doctor's prescription. VJ, Everything is possible if you have the money. Don't worry about the doctor's prescription. I will manage it for you. You only need to give me a little extra amount for getting a fake doctor's prescription. How much? 10,000. What? 10,000 rupees only for writing some disease on a doctor's pad. I am not charging for the doctor's prescription. I am charging to hide the disease and get you a nurse. This is too expensive. It's your wish, Vijay. What I know is that if you tell any nurse that your patient is HIV positive, no one will touch her. Leave aside taking care. I didn't like him from the very beginning, but after getting kicked out from the last place, I was sure he was, at least, making sense and could get me a nurse. I was thinking about my next move when he smiled mysteriously and said, "Mr. Vijay, my intention is to help you. We are not here for money." Okay, but what will they charge? I want them only for 6 hours. It depends on the nurse you choose. The more qualified and experienced will charge more, but it varies from 20,000 to 50,000. Charges also depend upon the nature of the job. Suppose if there is any bleeding or external injury involved, the charges are higher. If washing and cleaning of the patient are included, you will be charged extra. Over and above, all hand gloves, cotton sheets, and syringes would have to be purchased by you. I was not comfortable with anything he said. He understood my position, got up from his seat, and patted on my shoulder. "Vijay, don't worry. If your patient can manage her washing and cleaning, then it should not be more than 20,000, okay?" "Okay. Can we conduct the interviews today? Malviya Nagar is a bit too far from Jasola. Wait, let me check." He went outside and came back after 10 minutes with a few papers stacked in his hand. "Vijay, you are lucky, as 2 nurses are available right now. Here are their CVs." I was looking at the papers and trying to read which one was more suitable for her, but I was interrupted by him. "Let's talk to them first." I nodded, and he called the first one in. Radha Gupta looked like a girl in her late teens. She was very thin, and I could not believe that she could take care of anyone else. It seemed she herself needed a nurse. Both of us stood in front of Thomas. It looked like I was being interviewed by Thomas. "Tell me something about yourself," Thomas asked. The question gave me chills. I countered and asked another question because I felt that question was not required. "Radha, how many years of experience do you have?" I asked another question. "No experience. This will be my first." "Why should I hire you?" Thomas fired the second question. I was impressed by Thomas, as I could not think of any question. "I know all the necessary vaccinations and nursing responsibilities. During my studies, I've worked in a hospital." Radha was replying in one-liners. I guessed it to be her first interview as well. "Vijay, do you want to ask anything?" Thomas poked me. "I think she would be fine for the job." Great. "So do you have any questions, Radha?" "I have a few reservations," Radha said. "I would not like to work at a place where the patient is having a contagious disease like tuberculosis, viral fever, flu, an open wound, or AIDS," Radha said. "But AIDS is not contagious," I protested. "I know, but I don't want to work for an AIDS patient," Radha responded. "Okay, Radha. This patient is suffering from jaundice," Thomas said. "It's perfectly fine then." "You may wait outside," Thomas ordered. She went outside, but I was in no mood to appoint her. I don't want this nurse. You will not find any nurse for an HIV patient, Thomas said to convince me. I have a question. How can a nurse take care of the patient when they are not aware of the disease? Suppose a jaundice patient is suggested to have grape juice. What if that grape juice is harmful to my wife? What if it puts her life at risk? Then what should I do? Asked Thomas. Call the next nurse. I will talk to her. Next nurse is a bit expensive. It doesn't matter. After a few minutes, Rosie Gomes entered. Rosie was a middle-aged, confident-looking lady. So, Rosie, how many years of experience do you have in nursing? More than 10. Just to check your knowledge, what is the difference between HIV and AIDS? I asked. HIV is the carrier and AIDS is a fatal disease. An HIV patient can live a normal life if taken care of properly, but an AIDS patient cannot live long. Good. I was impressed. Then I asked the question that was to be decisive. Is HIV contagious? No. It is transmitted only if there is blood contact and unsafe sexual contact. Her answers relaxed me a bit. Sister Rosie, I don't want to hide anything, and as you know, AIDS is not even a contagious disease. My wife is an HIV patient and she is pregnant. Could you please extend your care to her? I literally crossed my fingers this time. No, she said without even a second's delay. She was clear about everything she didn't want. Why, what happened? There is no risk, I almost cried out. Sir, I had taken care of an HIV patient in the past, and when everybody came to know that she was an HIV patient, they started treating me like an untouchable. They acted as if I had the infection. Since then, I have decided I would not be part of any such treatments. Thanks. You may go now, I said, irritated. After she went, Thomas was a bit worried and suggested, VJ, hire the first one. She is still not aware of the disease. But hiding the disease will be risky for the patient as well as the nurse. You can pay more. It's worth the risk. I felt irritated. How can the money dissolve the risk, Thomas? Money is everything. People are ready to take risks because of money. Suppose I give you 1 crore. Can you remove all risks from my wife's life? VJ, you are getting me all wrong. My intention is to help you, and we are not here for money. No, Thomas. I think you are here only for money. The next day, I went to meet Dr. Raza with another problem. He was not just a doctor now, he was my counselor and guide too. VJ, you can work as a nurse, he suggested. How can I work as a nurse? The thought had never crossed my mind. It's very simple. What are we expecting from the nurse? To inject her twice, monitor her blood pressure, and take her blood sample every alternate day along with proper care and support. The care and love that a family member can give cannot be compared with any paid nurse. Is it that simple? Yes, that's all. Go to the pathology department. There will be a lab superintendent, Mr. Ravikant Gautam. Inform him that I have referred you. He will guide you about how to inject and monitor BP. You'll learn it in a day or 2 at max. Thank you, Doctor. My pleasure. But she requires constant monitoring. How are you going to manage your job with it? It was rare for me to exhibit confidence, but I knew I had no choice. We both understood that the baby would require all possible care, and her pregnancy would not be an easy one. Asta had to take care of herself for the health of the baby. She had been advised to meet Dr. Rachna every 5 days. Few tests were compulsory on a regular basis. Her CD4 was to be monitored every alternate day. Asta accepted all her instructions, and her condition stabilized. But a pregnant lady with AIDS is a rare and dangerous combination. I explained to Asta that nurses were slightly expensive, so I was her new nurse. She smiled. I wanted her to smile for the rest of her life. Asta never asked any questions. She did not look for another job. The girl who loved to drink and eat non-vegetarian food changed completely. She was okay with bland food day after day without making faces. Earlier she used to laugh. Now she smiled. My wife had begun to change. She had become weak and often felt drowsy. It was the 6th month of her pregnancy. My new assignment as a nurse, the responsibilities as a nurse took most of my time. I had less time to focus on my job and needed to talk to the principal. Is the principal there? I want to meet him for a few minutes, I asked the principal's secretary. Please wait. Let me check. A secretary always knows where the boss is. She was perhaps checking whether he wanted to meet me or not. After a while, I entered the principal's cabin. Welcome, Mr. VJ. It's a pleasure to see you, the principal taunted. Sorry, sir. I have been really caught up. My wife is unwell, but I had informed the admin staff. What happened to your wife? He said coldly, more as a formality than out of concern. Sir, she is pregnant, was all I could reveal to him. Oh, that's a very big problem, he taunted again. Sir, she is pregnant and her liver has an infection that can be fatal. If she is not well cared for, I may lose. Oh, my best wishes are with you. So is she okay now? He asked, without much interest again. No, sir, she is not. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I need a favor. He nodded, and I told him, Sir, she requires care and monitoring all the time at home as she has become extremely weak. There is no one to help, so I will be able to give only limited time in college. He made a face and asked point blank, What would be your maximum availability? I will be available only for 3 hours a day and need 1 day off in 15 days. I have to take her to the hospital for a complete checkup every 15 days. He thought for a few seconds. VJ, in that case, we can give you only half the salary, as you are coming for half the day only. Thanks, sir. I smiled. I was not expecting much, and money was the last thing on my mind. Only Asta and my baby were the priorities for me. VJ, you rarely teach anything. I don't know how I'm going to utilize this time. Listen, on the 8th of November, we have our annual college function. I want you to take charge of the preparations. This time, it will be telecast live, and if all goes well, maybe we'll have the HRD minister as our chief guest. Sir, I will try my best. The 8th of November was Asta's birthday. I wanted to say no to the responsibility, but remained silent. I was busy taking care of my wife. I avoided my Saturday's trip home. Papa and Mom called me daily at different times. It was rare for them to sit together and talk. Papa came home a couple of times to see Asta. My inability to go out and my mom's ego to not enter my home had kept us away for a long time. I was sure if Mom came to know of Asta's infection, she'd find another reason to hate her. Asta and I chat every night about our past and our future. It felt weird talking about the future now. But we were happy in our imaginary world. Sometimes reality sucks. In the second week of September, Papa came over to our house and wished me a happy birthday. Mom came to Malviya Nagar in the evening to wish me. We are a crazy family. Both of them were to come from the same place, but they came separately. Mom hates Asta, Asta hates Mom, and I love both of them. It's common in Indian families, I guess. Mom called me to Pizza Hut, half a kilometer away from the house. The moment I saw her, I wanted to hug her and cry. I restrained myself, for she would guess something was wrong. "Hi, Mom." I touched her feet. "Missed you a lot." It was really difficult to hold back my tears. Her presence was making me weak. "How are you, VJ?" I didn't say anything. I hugged her like a little kid. I wished I had never grown up. I wanted to shrink in her arms and die there. Finally, the dam broke and tears flowed down my eyes. My mother noticed that. It was not the first time I had cried in front of her. "VJ, are you okay?" "I am perfectly fine, Mom. Just missed you a lot." "Why have you called me here? You could have come home." "So finally you have learned to lie. Is Asta okay? Are you concerned about her?" "No, I am concerned about my grandchild. Is she still dominating you, or have you started using your brain?" "Mom, stop criticizing her." "Oh, still the same hen-pecked husband. Thank God I decided to meet you outside. Otherwise, you would have not even offered me tea." "Mom, please. It is not only Asta's home, it is mine too." "Why has Asta left her job?" "She is expecting, you know that." "If everything is fine, then why are you not going to college regularly?" "Your principal called me." "Mom, the truth is that Asta is unwell as her pregnancy is not normal. A lot of care is required. She is on complete bed rest. Every small thing, from buying vegetables to medicines, has to be taken care of by me, plus the visits to the doctor." I sighed and decided to change the topic. "Forget that. What have you brought for me from South Africa?" "This is your birthday gift," she said, giving me a packet. I opened it and found a pair of wristwatches. "A pair of wristwatches? One for Asta?" I asked playfully. She glared at me, and we dug into the pizza. She shared her experience of interacting with famous celebrities and funny things about them. I told her some funny things about Asta, and Mom told me about Papa. I was smiling after 3 months, like there was no worry in my life. That moment was a mirage in my desert. "VJ, you are my only love in this world. I assume everything is fine with the baby. If there is anything or any help required, please let me know. I want both of you to be happy." "Who both?" "The baby and me?" I asked deliberately. I have not forgiven her for taking away my only child from me. She heaved a deep sigh, and her eyes were wet. But I knew she was a tough lady. She said emotionally, "It is better that you are staying away but living happily, rather than staying with me and fighting every day." I didn't know where I got the courage from, but I said, One day you will forgive her. Thank you for watching Simple Spoken English. We hope you enjoyed VJ and Asta's emotional story and learned some valuable English phrases along the way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories and English learning tips. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll explore how VJ faces new challenges while keeping Asta's memories alive. Until then, keep practicing English and stay inspired. See you soon.